The San Francisco 49ers have found themselves quite a bit in the news today as plenty of 49ers, or should I say, former 49ers players have taken off to new teams. And we just had a wave of updates and players signing elsewhere. So we're going to instantly react to all these 49ers players signing elsewhere in free agency. Let's take a look at some of the players that have just left for other teams. Let's start right here at the top. So, this one, I was actually doing a live show earlier. This was the most surprising one for me. I think when we go back to the show that I did, when we went down the list of 49ers free agents and who we anticipated leaving and who we anticipated staying, so far, there haven't been a whole lot of surprises, but this to me was one of the bigger surprises. I thought Emmanuel Mosley was going to return to the San Francisco 49ers, but as we know, Emmanuel Mosley signed a 1-year deal with the Lions and is not returning to the San Francisco 49ers. So, all things considered, I know a lot of what's going on, and I've seen a lot of the comments so far on Instagram, on YouTube, on Twitter, whatever it may be. I see what a lot of people are saying right now about all these 49ers players leaving. And the thing is, this was to be expected for the most part. Not a lot is particularly surprising. I think what is kind of surprising is it all kind of coming at one time. Obviously, for me, out of all looking at all the 49ers free agents, I was hoping that Emmanuel Mosley was going to be one that returned. But he unfortunately will not. But for example, Aziz Al Shair, he left in free agency. He's going to go sign with the Tennessee Titans. We halfway expected that. We knew Aziz Al Shair, this was his last season with the San Francisco 49ers. We knew they weren't going to be able to retain him for the price. And he leaves in free agency. So no real big surprise there. And as we continue to move our way through the list, Samson Ebukam went down my list. I imagined that Samson Ebukam likely would be gone based on what he was going to command on the open market. So not a big surprise with Samson Ebukam signing with another team. Hey, he signed a pretty solid deal with the Colts. Can't be too mad at it. Samson Ebukam secured the bag and he goes on to his next team. We knew the San Francisco 49ers likely weren't going to match what he was going to get in the open market, which made him a bit of a cap casualty in that regard. This one I kind of anticipated, but it still hurt me personally. Daniel Brunskill is a great friend of the channel. He's interviewed with me on two separate occasions. Uh, the legend of Daddy B was started here at the SF Niners. His ownership of basically Aaron Donald over his tenure with the San Francisco 49ers, absolutely demolishing Aaron Donald anytime they faced. The for years, Daniel Brunskill became an absolute legend around here. Um, but also anticipated him leaving in free agency. So ultimately, not the biggest shock in the world. More so, just saddened that Daniel Brunskill won't be returning and the era has come to an end because Daniel Brunskill has been a phenomenal utility tool on the 49ers offensive line, being able to play center, guard, or tackle on either side. He's played in a lot of big games for the San Francisco 49ers. Uh, was anticipating him signing elsewhere, especially it was Brendel or Brunskill, in my opinion. That's really what it came down to. And the San Francisco 49ers were able to keep Brendel, which meant Brunskill uh, will be unfortunately signing with the Tennessee Titans. So Rand Carthon gets someone that he is familiar with, but again, kind of knew it was coming. Amidst all these moves, and I'll come back to this. This was the most recent move that happened before we came on. Charles Omenihu has signed a pretty decently sized deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. So Charles Omenihu will not be returning. For those keeping track at home, that's two defensive ends, Samson Ebukam and Charles Omenihu, who have been lost to free agency. Again, I was hopeful that Charles Omenihu could return, but I did believe that he could potentially leave in free agency. So, all things considered, when we look at the entire laundry list of players who are no longer on the San Francisco 49ers, although it feels jarring, especially with it coming in back to back to back to back, within it feels like the last hour. Outside of that, I think we can all rationalize that it was going to be really hard to retain most of these players that were let go. The one I think we're having the most difficult time with is Emmanuel Moseley because it felt like that we could have brought him back. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. However, John Lynch, Parag Marate, maybe even Kyle Shanahan are up there cooking because the San Francisco 49ers restructured their second contract today. Two contracts restructured. What does that mean? That means that the San Francisco 49ers today alone has cleared about 20 million in cap space. So they still got some room to work. What is going to be fascinating is what do they do with that? Are they going to bring in different free agents, maybe that we weren't anticipating? Maybe a change of scenery, maybe letting some of these old guys sign elsewhere for bigger contracts and bring new talent in. And I see some people in the chat already talking about it. You see all these players that we've talked about signing with other teams. That means the Cisco 49ers will be recouping compensatory picks next year. The 49ers could be looking up to 5 to 6, probably even more comp picks just based on the free agents that are signing with other teams this year. When you look at McGlinchey, when you look at Jimmy Garoppolo, those are 2 third-round comp picks right there for those guys signing elsewhere to the deals that they got. That's 2 third-rounders for those 2 guys. So the San Francisco 49ers, they're still able to they're getting things in return. I know it might feel like a loss right now, but these are there's a formula here. There's a comp pick formula, and they understand what it is. And so guys like Azeez Al-Shaair, they're going to get comp picks back for that. Charles Omenihu, who they traded a 5th-round pick for, depending on how much, again, I don't know exactly how the formula works, but there's a good chance they could net a 4th, maybe probably a 4th, maybe a 3rd-round comp pick in return for Charles Omenihu signing. So that still becomes a net positive on return and investment, even though you didn't sign him. You got the production out of him. He signs with the Chiefs, but you still get a pick out of it. So all things considered, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm not too upset. I'll be honest with you. I am upset because as a fan of this team, I like a lot of these players. I've grown emotionally attached to some of these players. Like I said, I've interviewed Omenihu. Omenihu's been on this channel. Brunskill has been on this channel. McGlishy has been on this channel. Emmanuel Mosley, we did an IG live together. Jimmy Ward, we did an IG live together. I have an emotional connection to these players. But if we are trying to look at this from an objective roster construction, full-blown GM in the lab mode, not bad. It's really not. This is what happens every year. You know what I'm saying? It happens year in, year out, and I don't think anything that's happening right now is too crazy. So, all things considered, I think the 49ers are still going to move in the right direction. And what is interesting though is what could the 49ers do with this money? They snapped their again, we did this earlier. John Lynch goes to Parag Marathe. John says, John and Kyle go into his office together. They say, Parag, we need more cap space. Parag looks at him. How much? They're like, 20, 10 mil, 20 mil. What can you do for us? Parag pulls up the calculator. How much? 20? 20 million. There you go. 20 million cap space. Done. So that's my expert analysis on what Parag Marathe does. He punches in some buttons. He moves some things around, takes some eggs from this basket, puts it in that basket. Boom, cap space. So the San Francisco 49ers still even have more opportunities to create even more cap space. If they wanted to create an additional 16 million in cap space, they could restructure Trent Williams. So there's still opportunities here for the 49ers to open up cap space. So when we look at all the 49ers free agents that have signed with other teams, they could make room for these guys. They could give them these big time contracts, nice guaranteed cash, signing bonuses, all that. But I think the San Francisco 49ers, they do business a different way. Now, they have to give that to their big time players. Nick Bosa is going to break the bank literally and figuratively. Nick Bosa is going to be the highest paid defensive player in history when he gets paid this summer. But what the 49ers are going to do until then is build the entire roster. They're going to draft. They're going to get all the pieces in place. And then right before training camp, they will extend Nick Bosa. But until then, they are clearing space for, oh no, maybe some more edge help, maybe some more DBs, maybe more D linemen. We've lost a lot. We need some more edge. So it is going to be interesting to see how the 49ers continue to manage this situation. But moving forward, I am not that. Again, I look at the situation as a whole in its entirety, and I'm not concerned. The 49ers clearly put a lot of money into Hargrave. You get a dominant 3-tech that is arguably up there. He's definitely top 3, basically interior defensive lineman in the NFL right now. Those types of guys alone can change how offenses have to operate. You've seen it with Aaron Donald. You've seen it with Chris Jones. The San Francisco 49ers got it with Hargrave, but you now put Hargrave next to Eric Armstead and Nick Bosa, and you hopefully get speed on the other side. And then the 49ers defense will become a legitimate game wrecking machine. So hopefully the San Francisco 49ers are clearing space for a Yannick Ngakoue. Maybe he's someone that they have in their plans to be able to go play on the other side of it. I don't think he would be ultra expensive. Maybe they're clearing cap space to go get a Zadarius Smith from the Minnesota Vikings, maybe a Khalil Mack. Maybe they're going to complete the loop and go get Brian Burns. You never know. But ultimately, I think the 49ers, they have a plan. And right now, what we are seeing is them execute it. I know it can feel at times like everything is going haywire when you see players that you have grown to appreciate over the years leave. And especially just within the last 2 hours, leave all at once. So ultimately, I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to find themselves in a pretty good spot. Um, I think they're not done yet. I think there's more moves to be made. There's more restructures to be had if they need more cap space. There's more there's more calculator buttons to be punched if they want it to occur. So ultimately, I think the 49ers are still on a good track. I'm going to go back. I'm going to cross-reference the show that I did where we went through player by player. Do we want them? Do they go? Do we want them to come back? Do they go? We're going to tally it up, see how well we did so far. Right off the top of my head, I wanted Omenihu, but I knew there's a chance he could leave. I definitely thought the 49ers were going to resign Emmanuel Mosley. Definitely wrong on that. But outside of everything else, everything has been pretty much on par. So I think we're all good. And if the San Francisco 49ers do have one big move coming, what do you think that move would be? Drop it in the chat right now. What do you think that move would be? I'm curious. If you were the general manager and you've seen how this team has been constructed up until this point, and you've got a move to make, what move would that be? Drop it in the chat. Give me specifics. I see people saying edge. Someone said kicker. What edge? Give me some names. Give me some talent. How are we going to build this roster to make it competitive? Who is it going to be? And with the realms of reality as well. I did see this. Arden Key to the Titans. He got the bag by Ran Carthon. Good for Arden though, man. He's deserves it. Do we get any names yet? CJ can play slot right. I don't know if he'd come. I feel like he's a safety. I wouldn't classify him as a slot, like a nickelback. More, it definitely feels like a safety to me. But I'm still not opposed of the 49ers adding. If they wanted to add a playmaker at safety, even with Gipp coming back, I'm not opposed to it. Marcus Davenport, he signed with Minnesota, I believe. He signed for a 1-year deal. I was actually surprised by that. Frank Clark, there we go. Well, based on what I've heard from some beat reporters, they actually believe there is a chance Robbie Gould could re-sign depending on the price tag. So I'm anticipating Robbie is going to sign elsewhere, but yeah, you never know. The beat reporters think he could be back at the right price. Leonard Floyd, I think Leonard Floyd would come if we gave him a deal for the right price. Lamar Jackson is sadly not. I don't think the 49ers can technically get him. I don't know. I don't know enough about the tag that he got. I think there is some kind of there's some red tape there. I'll take Za'Darius, says 49ers for life. Yannick. Isaac. We got a guard. We got guards. I feel good at guard. I feel good at center. Still don't mind drafting a couple guys that can play multiple of those spots. We definitely lost Jimmy Ward. Ethan Posick, backup. Not bad. Oh, now we're talking. Now we're cooking. Justin Houston. Jordan Poyer. Trey Herndon. Definitely a potential. I know the 49ers have been linked to them. Trade for Joey Bosa. Last year of his deal could be pricey. I think we still need a tight end too. What about Schultz to pair with Kittle? I talked about that the other day. If you could get Schultz with Kittle, that would be kind of nice. That would definitely be kind of nice. I would not be opposed to that. I don't know how much it would cost. But having two threats as receivers that are pretty solid as tight ends would be pretty interesting. I wonder how much that would cost. So, is Clark an upgrade over Omenihu? I don't know. The Chiefs let Clark go and they signed Omenihu, so maybe Clark is trending down at the current moment. Fletcher Cox, not bad. Oh, bring back Kentavious Street, Matt Iodonis, Sean Bunting. Yeah, so there's a bunch of people we could bring back into the mix. Orlando Brown is still out there. He feels expensive still. So it will be interesting to see. But the San Francisco 49ers have let a lot of players go, but they're still creating cap space. So I think there's a plan here, and I think we got to be patient and just wait and see what is going to go down with the San Francisco 49ers. Make sure you smash that like button before you get out of here. Just wanted to come on for a quick one, instant reaction to kind of all the stuff that was going down. Obviously, a lot of movement here within the last hour. A lot to keep our eyes on, but you already know what to do. Turn those post notifications on so you don't miss any videos that come across this channel, lives, posted news, all that stuff. Also, we got a lot to talk about for a lot of weeks, so make sure you stick around. Appreciate all you guys. Shout out all the SDS. Y'all the best. I'm going to get out of here right now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see